I started my shed. It was November and it was pretty cold. 37 degrees was the lowest temperature that I could work in. So when you do something like a project that I did with the shed, you need to make sure that you have a compressor. You want to make sure that you have the nail guns. Those are very important. You also want to make sure that you have a miter saw, but you want to wear safety goggles as well. You want to have some good gloves. And I think no matter what you do, you will get some injuries. I got some cuts, I got some scrapes because you're dealing with wood that's sharp. You're dealing with nails. Splinters are a real pain. I had a few splinters as well. I'm hoping that when you look at this video, it will inspire you to see that you can also do this. I went to Home Depot, I priced out different things, and you could see the different prices. These are the sizes of wood that I use for the foundation. All right. This is the area where the shed is. I started to dig up the area back there, and as you can see, it's not too deep yet, but it had to be about 3.5 inches. I worked in the dark and it was cold, but it was not too cold for me. You also have to deal with the challenges of roots if you have a tree nearby. You don't want it to be too close to the tree. But here I put some tin, some zinc for the perimeter of the foundation. This shows you how thick the root was. It's very thick roots. I overcame that, and then I just put some dirt around the perimeter. This is gravel that I got from a landscape place. I didn't get it from Home Depot. I had to just fill it up, and even after I did the foundation and tamped it, I still had a lot of gravel left. This is my miter saw where I had to cut the skids. I had 3 skids. So here you can see that I put spacers in between the fence and the skids. This way I will limit any movement of the skids. It will stay in the same direction. Trying to see if these two ends are level. The two ends are about the same, but the middle one I have to lift up. I'm using asphalt shingles to prop these up because these will not disintegrate. But you can see that this is level in the middle. I just have to adjust this to be higher. You want to space the skids at the correct distance from each other. And now I have put these pieces of wood. This is a 10 by 12 shed. So we're looking at the length that's about 12 feet long. You want to make sure that you measure the wood, even though it says 12 feet. A lot of times it's about 12 feet and a quarter inches, 12 feet and a half. So you want to still measure them and cut them to the size that you want your shed to be. And you want to take into account the overlapping pieces so that you do make your foundation exactly the width that you set out to make it. So you're dealing with a lot of fractions. If you're not comfortable with the fractions, you need to make sure that you are, because that is definitely what you will be dealing with. Of course, you could change things to decimals. That's up to you. I am making sure that I put everything correctly, that it's all balanced. And now I'm going to use the nail gun. Nail guns are very, very convenient. Of course, you need to make sure you practice safety. You don't point it at anyone. You don't put your fingers next to it. Occasionally, I would also sweep, take the excess dirt off your project. I like to be neat as I'm doing these things. Here, I'm just trying to see which piece of wood I want to use in the different sections, because sometimes the wood is slightly higher. I'm nail gunning the middle section of the skid, and I'm also doing again more measurements. Of course, you know the saying, it says measure twice, cut once. Measure twice, cut once, because you don't want to just cut things and go, oh man, I forgot this. Measure it twice and then cut once. All right, that's very important. Again, we're using the nail gun to secure the foundation, where I'm going to put the skids across and just move along with that. I like this part because I feel like I did all the preliminary work. I did the work with the dirty section
digging up the dirt. And this was frozen ground that I was working with. I don't know why I chose to do it in winter, but that's really when I was inspired to do it, so I did it in the winter time. And as you're nailing, you're also making adjustments to make sure that you are not off, and then you do the nail gun again. Oh, it feels so good when the nails are going into the wood the way it needs to. And here it is. I felt so good about this part that I got these woods across, these skids across, and I feel like I'm getting my floor done. I feel like this is one of the most challenging part. The roof is also was also challenging for me. I started out doing this with the screws and the drill, but then it felt a little cumbersome, and I decided that I would switch a little bit afterwards, and I started to use nails. So I was using 3-inch screws. I used a spacer to make sure that they were evenly spaced, and I would also double check with the ruler. That's very helpful. Um, but I think with the screws, it just seemed a little slower. So I decided, let me just get some nails and hammer away. So that's what you see that I'm doing right now. For me, it's exciting when the wood is getting nailed and it's making sense. So now I had to get the flooring. I actually backed up my car to the other side of the fence and pushed these over because these woods are very heavy. They're pressure treated. I forgot to mention, but everything that I used for the foundation was pressure treated wood because it's in contact with the ground. You don't want to use regular plywood. You want to use pressure treated wood, and this wood was about a 1/2 inch thick. Very important, you must have a few tarps when you're working so you can cover your work area. A lot of rain came down. I had to make sure I secured the tarp because it was windy and you didn't want the tarp to blow off. So I used bricks, wood, all kinds of things, and covered it up with the tarp. So a lot of water there. And despite the tarp, I still got some water on the wood, but it's okay. And here it is, the work was done. And now what I'm doing is I'm just checking around the perimeter to make sure that everything is even and there aren't any nails sticking out when I did the nail gun, because I want to use the router. So I was just doing cleanup work where I'm pushing nails out and I'm re-nailing the flooring for the shed. Okay, so it's tedious, but it's something that you need to do. I even had pliers to take out nails, to take out staples. I use my drill, I use my saw, and then I use my router several times. So I just want to smooth everything out and use my saw, use my router. You get the gist of it. You just have to make sure you have all the tools that you need. Use your safety goggles. Use a dust mask so that you're not inhaling that stuff. It's not going into your lungs. You want to practice safety. And you want to measure again. Measure twice, cut once. So I'm just measuring to make sure that everything is even. Of course, there are imperfections, but you do your best with it. All right? But I kept feeling better and better as I got this foundation done. And as I mentioned earlier, the flooring, the foundation was a challenge. So was the roof, but it got done. Something to keep in mind is that you're going to make mistakes, and some mistakes are not major. Cosmetically wise, they may not look good, but nobody's really going to see those kind of mistakes because once the shed is up, nobody really sees that. So there you have it. That is the shed flooring, the foundation, and you build your foundation right, your shed will stand there for a while. Okay? Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, share this with anybody that you know who is looking to build a shed. Look out for my next videos because I will also be doing a video on walls, building the walls for the shed, as well as the roofing for the shed and putting down the shingles for the roof.
If you like what you saw and you'd like to see more in the future, subscribe.